There are certain values that should be manifest when the IDF is doing its activities. There are certain international norms that should be kept, and there is a spirit of doing what you have to do, but do it very morally and carefully as much as you can.
How do you do this when civilians are being used as human shields, hospitals are being used as places for refuge for terrorists? How do you do this?
I'll give you the most interesting example, namely the claims for concerning proportionality. I mean, when people in the media naively or politically see a picture of a dead boy, Palestinian boy in Gaza, they always take it to be against the rules. Israel has used excessive force and does not comply with the ideas of proportionality. This is almost always wrong. The idea of proportionality, there is a general idea in international law and in the moral views concerning war that you should minimize casualties, minimize damages. The grand way of doing it is to keep apart the combatants from the non-combatants. So, okay, here are the camps of the soldiers, here are the villages, the towns. Keep them apart. Don't attack the villages and the towns. And when the wars are done according to these rules, to this rule of distinction, then you minimize damage. However, our enemy doesn't think that they have to comply with the regulations, so they mix the two populations of the combatants and non-combatants. So when you attack a position of the combatants, you can be sure that it is surrounded by in a residential area, by apartments of those who have nothing to do with terrorism or with the war. So your problem is how to minimize damages concerning this kind of people who are the neighbors of the terrorists. So we have. I don't like the phrase the most moral military force on earth, but I think that concerning this issue we are the best. See what we do. First of all, we warn the population. We distributed 1.5 million leaflets. We made 6 million phone calls and SMS calls in order to tell the people, evacuate your places in the northern part of Gaza and move towards the south through humanitarian corridors where you're safe. There were even pictures of an Israeli tank guarding the people who are marching towards the south, guarding them against the Hezbollah, who would like to stop them from moving
towards
guarding them against the Hamas, who are interested in stopping them. Okay, first warnings. There is a whole battery of warnings. Perhaps the most original one and interesting one is what we call knock on the roof, which means that before we hit a building, because it is a site of terrorists, we send a missile on the top of it, but the missile is not explosive, but very noisy. And so it's the last warning, okay? So people then know that, okay, that's the end, almost the end of the story. If we don't evacuate the place now, then it might be too late. So we watch them, and we know that many of them, we can see 1 million of them, having left their places and moving elsewhere. In addition, when we attack by air a certain site, there is a whole procedure, a unit in the Air Force that tells the pilot or whoever is conducting that activity how to do it in a way that most probably guarantees hitting the terrorist, but minimizing the damage to one's neighbors.